and celebrate time, trust, and the people of India. I'm Gitanjali Sachwani, Head of Marketing at Franklin Templeton India, and I'm honored to be your host for today. A very, very warm welcome to all our distinguished dignitaries, senior officials from the Department of Postal Services, friends from the media, and people of Franklin Templeton. We are also privileged to have with us today Ms. Jenny Johnson, President and CEO, Franklin Templeton, Sandeep Singh, Head India and CMEA, Janki Raman, Chief Investment Officer, Equities, Avi Satwalekar, President, India Business, and in the room we have a very special guest of honor, Mr. K.K. Sharma, Chief Postmaster General, Maharashtra and Goa Circle. Without taking too much of your time, who better to start off the day other than our Avi, President, India Business? May I request you to share your thoughts today, Avi? Ladies and gentlemen, we can do with a round of applause.
Thanks, Gitanjali. Morning, everybody, and thank you very much for coming for this very special occasion. It's not every day that you get to celebrate 30 years. I mean, it's been a while since I celebrated my 30, but for a fund, it is an incredible time. I mean, when you think about our industry and you think about how we have progressed since the early 90s when private mutual funds were allowed to start, we were clearly one of the pioneers. And it is an immense joy to be able to celebrate that with all of you. But before we get started, I know there's a video that we'd like to play for you. So can we cue that up, please?
Equally nervous about investing in the stock market? Start a systematic investment plan with Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund and seek to minimize the risks of market ups and downs. Franklin Templeton Investments. Gain from our perspective. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
So that was our original ad for SIPs that Franklin Templeton introduced to India. While I think I guess the graphics have definitely changed, the quality of the video has changed, but the general message has not changed 30 years since. SIPs is still the best method of investing for the long term. I won't take too much time. We've got a couple of things I wanted to cover just to talk through our 30 years of wealth creation. So let's start with a little bit of nostalgia for the benefit of the younger people that may not have seen these ads. So if you notice, the themes are still exactly the same of what we do, right? We're still talking about saving for the main events in your life, whether it is marriages, whether it is education, whether it is trying to find bills that you've got to pay off. So the themes have not changed. What we are saving for has not changed. And those goals are that much more important. I know there's a lot of noise around how funds are measured and the returns you're going to get in any given year, etc. The key is to focus on the goals. That has not changed. So our industry has definitely come a long way, right? So let's take a look at what it was back then. In 1993, we had 9 fund houses, 47,000 crores in total AUM. The largest player had 80% market share, right? Single one. The first private player was Kothari Pioneer. We had, investor education was the main thing. Regulations were fairly nascent. SEBI came around in 1996. Our focus was mainly the key markets or the key metros. That's where you'd start. And then if you look at the last tagline, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. And that was essentially what mutual funds were. Right? It's any new product that came into the market, that's kind of the journey, and we were no different. So where do we stand today? There are 42 fund houses, 50 lakh crore. The top 10 players now have 80%, not the top player, right? We are regulated, which is a good thing. B30, which is the bottom 30 cities, are growing faster than the top 30. Investor education is still important, but leveraging technology, that's critical. So when you look at B30, T30, what I like to say is that we no longer have to convince India of mutual funds, but now we have to convince Bharat. And that is a journey that we are starting on, that's continuously going on, but it's a journey that we are focused on in a big way at Franklin Templeton. Let's move. This is just kind of a snapshot of where the industry is today. So we've got over 50 lakh crores. SIP accounts are going through the roof. We've got very strong national distributors. The number of unique investors has changed, and it's continuing to grow. In spite of all of that, it is still a very low penetrated industry. It is fast growing. So if you look at it in the last 5 years, the compounded annual growth rate has been 17%. If you look at it over the last 10 years, it's 20%. But what is key is that if you look at, let's say, 5 lakh crore increments, the time it has taken to get those 5 lakh crore increments has shrunk. So we're getting there faster. If you look at SIPs, there's a lot of talk about SIPs now. You look at the trajectory of getting that 1,000 crore. That time has shrunk now, right? And if you look at the latest numbers, so we have them until December, but I'm sure all of you have seen the January numbers, that's 18,000 plus crores. So we are moving now, that 2 months has become 1 month now. And that is going to continue accelerating. So SIPs are truly gaining traction. Now, I think one of the things that we've been worried about and what we've been seeing is that these things typically happen when the markets continue to rally. And a lot of our messaging has been around, do not stop it when the market's correct. Because that's when you need it most, and that's when you get the most benefit out of an SIP. This is probably one of my favorite slides. This is showing us bank assets, bank deposits, and mutual fund AUMs as a percentage of that. So if you look at it in 2014, so 10 years ago, that was 10%. We have grown 2.5 times to now 25%. Now, just to give you a data point, this number in the United States is 150%. So said another way, for every rupee that we have in a bank deposit, we only have 25 paise in a mutual fund investment. Whereas in the US, for every dollar that they have in a bank deposit, they have $1.50 in mutual fund investments. So for us, this penetration has to increase, and there is a tremendous amount of opportunity available for us. So just looking back, let's see where FT India stands. Right. So can anybody guess what these two numbers are? Not the FT folks. This is 76 is the independent India. That's the age of independent India, right? Coincidentally, it also is Franklin Templeton's age at a global level. 27 is Franklin Templeton India. So we've been in India for 27 years, right? So it's not that we are new players. It's not that We haven't seen cycles. We've gone through all of that. We've been at the beginning of the growth of the mutual fund industry, and we're going to stay here. So we're not going anywhere. Just a quick brief on globally. 76 years, 1.5 trillion in global assets. We've got over 1,400 investment professionals around the globe, 9,000 employees globally. For India, we've been here 27 years, as I mentioned, 17 lakh investors. 20% of our global workforce is based in India. So India is not just an important growth market for us. India is a very important destination for our employee base as well. And so we have a number of businesses that run out of India. We have a number of services that run out of India that support our global businesses. So India is a very strategic economy for us. So what sets us apart? So you kind of look at it, there's four main things, right? The 3 Ps, which is what we look at, which is people, philosophy, and process. And that applies to our investments, that applies to the way we look at business. We're true to label. So when we say we do small cap, we truly do small cap. It's not 50% is in small cap and the other 50 is kind of fungible, right? We've stayed true to label right across. We've always put customers first, even when it hurts us. And we've had a recent example of that, where it did not help us, but that was the right thing for the customers, and we did that. And finally, having strong relationships with our partners, whether that's distribution partners, whether it's our media partners. Having those relationships is critical, and the way we approach them is always through a partnership. So we are celebrating now, today we're celebrating 2 funds that are complete 30 years. But if you look at our history and our legacy, we have 8 funds that have done 25. So in 5 years, we're going to be doing this for another 8 funds. But if you think about it, 75% of our funds have over a decade of track record. There's not that many fund houses that can make that claim. And that is something that we are very proud of. For the simple reason that all of these things are incredibly important when you are looking at investors. When you are managing, the whole concept of managing money and the way to create wealth is not just start early, it is to stay invested. And so, before we go into that, some key concepts that we've introduced to India. SIPs I mentioned. We've introduced STPs, we introduced goal-based. And then, of course, there are product firsts that we've introduced to India. So we have constantly innovated. And that is something that we will continue to do, and that's why it's something we're looking forward to continuing doing. And so whether it is looking at the first set of technology funds or first set of pension funds, trying to bring that first into a market is important for us. So I'm going to try and draw a little bit of an analogy to a match that I'm sure every one of you is going to remember. It was an Australian match. We were really in a bad shape. The lowest score in our history. We're in Australia. All our key players were injured. And then we fought back as a team. We didn't have the A team. We had a young, inexperienced captain. But we fought back and beat Australia for the first time in its history in Gabba. 32 years, they've never been beaten. And this India team, going 36 all out, managed to beat them. So what is it? It's a story of resilience, and it was a story of a comeback. Those are the 2 key things. I mean, the team obviously went back, reassessed, and they had 2 choices. Either you give up and go back, or you stay and you fight. And that's exactly what they did. And so that's how you get the comeback stories. For us, it's kind of similar. We've gone through a rough patch in 2020, but we've been resilient, we've been strong, We've done the right thing for our clients and customers, and now we are firmly on that comeback path. So this is a really, I really like this quote. And I unfortunately can't find who actually wrote this, but obstacles do not block the path. They are the path. You can't keep avoiding it. You just have to work through them. And that's where resilience becomes important for us. So what are the growth drivers for India? A lot of these you already know. India is projected to become the third largest economy in 3 years. Actually, not even 3 years, in 4 years. Sorry. If you think about what that means, right? Look at that journey that we've had in the last 10 years. And we can see this every day. India's standing on the global stage has changed dramatically. It is something that everybody is talking about. India has now become a destination for investment, the same way China was in the previous decade. So I know there's a lot of that's been said about this is India's decade, right? I actually think it's more than just this decade. Because what we've got, the reasons for our strength, don't disappear in 10 years. So let's talk a little bit about that, right? GDP per capita. We're back where China was in its earlier part in the early 2000s. That's where we're going to see our growth. That's where we're going to be playing catch-up. Amphi's vision for our industry, we're looking at doubling the size of the industry by the end of this decade, right? If you look at kind of what we're looking at in terms of investors, today we have 4 crore investors in mutual funds. We've got to get it to 10. The only thing that we have already hit is equity. It is already north of 50%, as it should be. Households, and this is why I feel like it's not just a decade, right? This is a breakdown of the households. And if you look at it, so household income 0 to 4 lakhs is 38% of our population. 4 to 8 lakhs is 36% of our population. 8 to 28 is 24%. If you look at what that means in 2031, we're going to move the bottom 2 firmly into the middle class. And what does that do? That drives consumption, that drives savings, and that drives financial innovation. Because the needs of our population changes. And so the opportunity set in front of us as an industry, as an economy, are, in my mind, have never been as attractive. So I mentioned we've got only 4 lakh investors. We've got 140 crore population. We have 8 crore PAN holders, right? So what that tells me is that, and you've got only 4 crore mutual funds. So half the people that make enough income to pay tax are not mutual fund investors. So if that number did not increase today, and we were just to try and penetrate that, we've got a doubling that's there in front of us. And we all know that the government policies and the regulations that have been coming out, that 8 crore number is going to expand. So we have to just be able to take advantage of the fact and get our penetration, and the only way we get to do that is through education. That message has to go out into Bharat. Equities are still underplayed. So if you look at an average Indian's net worth, half of it is tied up in property, another 15% in gold, another 14% in bank deposits. So when you think about it, just take the first 2. You've got over 65% of your net worth that is in illiquid, low-yielding asset. That has to shift. And as our economy matures, as our investor base matures, that 4 or 5% in equities is going to have to go up. Because equities, as you all know, is probably the best instrument to protect against inflation, which is going to be a continued issue for us. It has been 5-6%, it's going to continue to stay 5-6%. So if you look at, so we've taken 3-4 different asset classes, right? 1 lakh invested 30 years ago. What has that returned? Gilts or GSECs, you've made 14 times your money. In gold, you've made 15 times your money. Sensex, on the equity side, you made 34 times your money. So anybody that's invested in gold, look at that. You're getting almost a multiplier impact being in equities, right? And then we've put our 2 funds. The blue chip fund, which were the 2 30-year-old funds that we're celebrating today, and Prima. And they're both 200 times. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are saying, well, 30 years is a long time. Who stays invested for 30 years? Thank you, sir. I like that. So you have benefited from that 200x move. For us, so we ran some numbers and said, okay, how many people actually did invest in this? Between the 2 funds, we've had Blue Chip that had 3,000 investors that have been in there for 30 years, and Prima, 1,400. Now, I will also, so in my travels across the country, we've always tried to find, in each city, we've asked to, who is the oldest investor in any of our funds? And you'll have people that have come in that have been 20 years, 25 years. We've had a couple, nothing short of 10. So the 25-year-olds, I've always asked, like, okay, how did you manage to stay this? Because we've gone through market meltdowns, economic downturns. What's the most common response? I forgot about it. The only time I was told about it was when my distributor was trying to find me so that we could meet. So that is a lesson, is that if you just stop paying attention to the noise, you have the ability to just let compounding do its work for you. And that's a key lesson for us. 99% of good investing is doing nothing. Right? Now, it's completely counterintuitive. The market's down 5%, 10%, there's a correction. Our natural instinct is we should do something. Even as portfolio managers, we shouldn't be just sitting around. We should be looking like we're doing something. When in reality, that is not needed. If your 5-year thesis has not changed, the only thing you should be doing is buying more of what you thought was good yesterday. So what is the way forward for our industry? There is disruption coming up. Technology is going to be an enabler for us. It's not something to be afraid of. It is something to embrace. And that's true for any industry. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Technology is going to be critical. Mutual funds is the preferred method. It is regulated. It is transparent. I don't think there is a single product on the financial circuit that is as transparent as a mutual fund. I mean, a life insurance policy, you look at any of those things, and the transparency that you get with a mutual fund, it's unparalleled. Instead of looking at products, we have to start looking at solutions. It is no longer large cap, mid cap, small cap. It has to be about what is the problem you are solving. I'm solving for a retirement problem. I'm solving for my child's education. I'm solving because I want to get married. You have to go back to that instead of looking at it saying, what are my products doing? What is my large cap fund performance looking like? Those are tools to help you achieve the goal, and we have to go back to that. Growth is a given because I think the India growth story is very well understood, appreciated, and it is going to be a massive tailwind for our industry as well. And then lastly, mutual fund sahi hai. Now I think the tagline is going to shift a little bit, and Har Ghar mutual fund, because that's what we need. There's no reason why we should have a 3-4% penetration when a mutual fund provides the best vehicle to help save for retirement. So I'll end with this. How strange that grass is all that remains standing after the storm, said the little boy. Sometimes being soft is strong. And that is something that we live by. We have to be nimble, we have to be flexible. We can't be rigid in our approach. Thank you very much, and I'll turn it back to GS.
Louder applause, people. That just got me nostalgic and proud at the same time. 30 years in 30 slides may not be enough, but that just got all of us goosebumps at Franklin Templeton. Thank you, Avi. Ladies and gentlemen, amongst us today are two distinguished people. We are very fortunate to share the same space with them today. We are privileged to have with us Sri Kishan Kumar Sharma, the Chief Postmaster General, Maharashtra and Goa Circle, with us today. He's an Indian Postal Service officer of 1990 batch. He has functioned under various capacities in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Bihar Circle. Also, he was a part of the first Aadhaar team in Bangalore and worked as advisor at the Fiscal Policy Institute at the Government of Karnataka. Before joining the Department of Posts, he's also worked as a lecturer in commerce in University of Delhi. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much for taking the time out for this event. It really means a lot to us. And now, for our very own Jenny Johnson, President and Chief Executive Officer of Franklin Templeton. Before I get to the formal introduction, I said our very own, because having spent the little time that I have around her tells me she's as Indian as any of us here. Not just in the look she sports when she visits India, but also her commitment and confidence in India's growth story. While at a conference recently, I heard her say, with progressive, growth-oriented policies, a growing middle class, and rapidly expanding infrastructure, India feels like walking into this phenomenal kitchen which is now coming together. What an analogy, ma'am. Now, this is what only a true Indian can believe in. I'm sure most of us agree here in this room. Now for the formal introduction. In a career spanning 35 years, Jenny has been a key driver of the company's transformation to what is now one of the largest global investment managers with, hold your breath, $1.5 trillion in assets under management. She has led the evolution of the business in recent years, further diversifying the company's investment capabilities and solutions for clients through key strategic acquisitions and investments. Ms. Johnson has received many recognitions, including being named to Forbes' World's 100 Most Powerful Women and over 50 lists in 2022. She's also been named to Barron's list of the 100 most influential women in US finance. Ma'am, I'm just trying to catch up some breath. She comes down to India just once a year, but that is enough to charge us up for the next 365. It makes me so proud, and I'm sure many of us proud in this room, to work for an organization that is driven by her leadership. Okay, I'm not going to go any further than this on the introductions, but ladies and gentlemen, the moment is here we've all been waiting for. May I call upon KK Sharma ji and Ms. Jenny ji to release the customized My Stamp that signifies Franklin Templeton's unwavering commitment to India. Everybody, round of applause, please. Two funds, one legacy, ladies and gentlemen. This is a memorable moment for all of us at Franklin Templeton. May I also request Avi and Janaki to come up on stage to unveil the next stamp, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not by any standard a small moment for us. For those who are sitting at the far end of the hall, let me tell you, this unveiling includes the special India Post album, which carries the Ashoka Chakra symbol on the cover. The stamp looks beautiful and has been designed carefully and thoughtfully in collaboration with the Ministry of Communications. one part of the unveiling. Jenny, may I request you and KKG and Avi to pull the strings so that everybody can have a bigger look at the stamp. Yes, pull both the strings together, ma'am. Round of applause, people. While the photo op happens, let me try and describe the design of the stamp to you. With the Franklin Templeton and India Post logo taking center stage, it also has a circle of resilience, which is supported by powerful rays of discipline, patience, and staying true to label. This design reflects our 30 years of journey of wealth creation through ups and downs in life and investments. Thank you. KK may I request you to stay back for saying a few words? KK Sharma ji. KK Sharma ji, may I request? Yeah. May I just request you to say a few words?
Thank you, Franklin Templeton. A momentous occasion. Very good morning to all of you. After seeing so many figures, data points, I'm getting a little carried away. India Post definitely joins the kind of legacy which definitely Franklin Templeton is experienced. India Post is 170 years. And definitely we are celebrating our Amrit Kal, where we are looking for the 25 years of this last of the 100 years, where we are definitely going to be part of something which we aspire to be developed economy, developed nation, and somewhere which I always feel that when the time comes, everything is falling in place. And that is what is happening now. India Post, a small intro, we are largest network in India and in the world among the postal networks. We are 160,000. Our point of presence is 160,000 across India. We are working with almost 5.5 lakh or 550,000 people. We are one of the oldest insurance and savings bank in India. 1892, we have a post office savings bank. It is government backed, it is the sovereign schemes. So no doubt, we are differently positioned ourselves. And it is one of the huge in terms of numbers. 26 crore, 260 million accounts in post office savings bank. ₹14 lakh crore plus is the deposit base. But it is all government of India, our finance ministry. So we work as their partners to provide the last mile because we are next to our citizen, our customer. And India Post is reimagining because I could see the technology as we very nicely put it, it's a disruptor. So we are also facing that kind of a disruption in the mailing. But we are the people who are last, available to the last person in the queue. And that Antodaya, which we call, we are meeting mainly all the G2C, government to citizen kind of a network requirement. I think with this, I congratulate Franklin Templeton for this 30 years of great service, 200 times fantastic. Those 3,000 people must be really very happy to be part of those 200 times growth. And We have been part of the mutual fund industry in all the ways. We provide mailing solutions, and we have been always together to celebrate these milestones, particularly 76 years of worldwide and 30 years in India. All the best, and we are really happy to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, KK Sharma ji. This is really very inspiring to take a note of what you said. May I now request Ms. Jenny to come up on stage and say a few words.
I have to say, one of my regrets of becoming CEO is that when I had a different job, I used to be able to come to India 3 to 4 times a year. And now I have to go to a whole bunch of places, and so I don't get to come here nearly as much. Hopefully it'll be more than once a year, but we'll see. Respected Chief Postmaster General, friends of the media, and colleagues, namaste. A warm welcome to each one of you on this remarkable occasion where we're gathered to commemorate the unwavering commitment to excellence in the world of investment management. Today is a day of celebration, a day to unveil a customized My Stamp that signifies 30 years of success, growth, and commitment to the incredible journey of Franklin India Blue Chip Fund and Franklin India Prima Fund. I'm happy to be a part of this milestone today, and I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each of you for contributing to the success story that we're celebrating today. Our journey in India has been nothing short of exceptional. Through highs and lows, we've remained steadfast in our commitment to the Indian market. The unveiling of this customized My Stamp is a testament to the enduring bond we share with the people of India, our investors, and partners who entrusted us with their dreams and aspirations. India, with its vibrant spirit, diverse culture, and unwavering optimism, has been an integral part of our success. We've not only been witness to the growth of this incredible nation, but have actively participated in its economic evolution. Today, as we celebrate the 30-year journey of Franklin India Blue Chip Fund and Franklin India Prima Fund, we're celebrating more than just 2 flagship funds. We're celebrating the trust you have placed in us. Franklin India Blue Chip Fund and its focus on large cap investments, and Franklin India Prima Fund, known for its mid and small cap orientation, represent the diversity of the India markets. Over the past 3 decades, Franklin India Blue Chip Fund and Franklin India Prima Fund have helped investors meet their goals through wealth creation. These 2 funds have grown over 200 times at a CAGR of 19%, plus, which clearly showcases the benefits of compounding and staying invested over the long term. An investment of 100,000 rupees invested in the fund on the 1st of December 1993 would have grown to over 20 million rupees today. These funds have overcome challenges like deep economic turmoil, multiple wars, the global financial crisis, geopolitical instability, pandemics, regime changes, and many much more episodes. What helped the Franklin Equity team withstand these challenges was their strong philosophy built on 3 Ps: philosophy, people, and process. As we look back with pride, let us also look forward with optimism. The next chapter of our journey promises even more opportunities, challenges, and milestones. But together with your continued support, we will navigate the future, driven by the same principles of integrity, innovation, and excellence that have guided us this far. Thank you for being part of this incredible journey. Here's to 30 years of growth, success, and an unwavering commitment to the financial prosperity. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind never sounded so good, Jenny. Thank you for that. May I now request Janki to come on stage and take us through the wealth creation journey over the last 3 decades, Janki, and the way forward for Indian equities.